Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Fenway Faithful. How we doing, everybody? Hello. And we got some decent news today. Man, oh man, we got some stuff to dive into. And listen, I'm waiting for this offseason to get moving here. I mean, we were hot there for a little while. I mean, it was like every day we had some kind of a rumor, some kind of news, something to chew into. And it feels like we're just grasping for anything at this point. International Signing Day today. You know, we had the arbitration, not the deadline to sign for arbitration the other day, but the deadline to exchange figures, So I feel like those days and deadlines are taking, prominence right now in the offseason. And obviously waiting on Roki Sasaki, that could be something too. Just feels like you're waiting for the dam to break a little bit. But I feel like we could be getting close here because we're still hearing stuff out there, right? We're still hearing little rumblings about Alex Bregman, of course. We're going to talk about him tonight, but we got a little something on Vlad Jr. here. We'll talk about that in just a second. International Signing Day, like I said, looks like the Red Sox, for the most part, getting praise for the class that they have for this year. And, ended up getting one of the top guys out there. So we will dive into that. But let's start off here with Alex Bregman. Also, everyone, tonight, so I just hit my microphone. Tonight, light goal is 100. Let's see if we can get that light goal for tonight. That would be amazing if we could hit that. Now, the latest on Alex Bregman, we have a little bit, actually. There was one thing that wasn't really put out there into the mainstream, but one that we did see in the mainstream as of late. Alex Bregman has come up with the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs, Scott Boras, according to reports from Bruce Levine of 670 The Score, that they are talking, or at least have talked, casually about Alex Bregman. Now, I've talked at length about, what I think about Bregman. I think he's a great fit. People are going to argue it. There's always going to be the naysayers. And, I respect the opinions. For me personally, I think he's an awesome fit in a lot of different ways. A right-handed bat that the Red Sox need. People say, oh, he's going to block Christian Campbell and Vaughn Grissom. Now, first off, as much as I love the potential of Christian Campbell, the man has to earn the spot first. You never know what can end up happening there. Now, with Bregman, he has that versatility. He can move around, in the infield. Who knows what ends up happening with Casas, in the end, who knows right there. At the end of the day, I feel like we've been seeing a lot of Casas when it comes to Nesson putting stuff out there. The Red Sox have posted a couple of things, and he's there. Which, hey, if they find a way to keep Casas, I'm happy with that. Now, when it comes to if you were to move him, Rafi again, or could you move Yoshida, whatever it may be. Bregman would bring a nice contingency plan if they were to make some other moves, and then you can move accordingly after that. Either way, Bregman, he slots into second base right now. Perfect fit, hits well at Fenway Park. Perfect ballpark for his swing, right? That's why he's had so much success there. Obviously, they need some veteran leadership, yada, yada, yada. We know all the reasons, so we don't need to keep going into that. Now, when it comes to the negotiation side of it, right? The Tigers at one point seemed like the hottest team for him. You got the AJ Hinch connection. But the one thing with the Tigers that I think holds them back is I think the ballpark. He hasn't hit very well at Comerica in his career. Will that be a great place for him to play half a year over the remainder of his career? I think it's arguable that it wouldn't be. That's just my opinion. If he ends up going there, we'll just have to wait and see. But, the last thing we heard about the Tigers is that there is a gap when it comes to the value, right? The Tigers, they don't see it the same way as Boras, or at least they seem to be pretty far apart. Who knows what the actual offer is from the Tigers at this point? It's been speculated that could be, 4 or 5 years. I mean, who knows? In my opinion, I feel like if the offer was good enough, the Astros, they offered a 6-year deal, but he turned it down. So in the end, you got to play with the cards that are now being dealt to you. So if the best offer is the Tigers or even the Blue Jays, whatever it may be, why isn't he going to those teams? Well, Obviously, there's something there where, who knows, maybe it's the ballpark for the Tigers. Maybe for the Blue Jays, the way everything has been going for them as of late, the future is looking a bit murky, a bit of a question mark. So there's obviously something holding him back from going there. But that's why, you keep seeing people out there, the national media guys, Ken Rosenthal, John Morosi, they keep bringing up the Red Sox, right? Obviously, Fenway Fest last weekend, his name was all over the place, People keep thinking that the Red Sox at some point could emerge as a landing spot for Bregman because there's obviously something holding him back from going to places like Detroit or Toronto. Now, with the Cubs, what holds back the Cubs, in my opinion, is it's a roster fit. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to the Cubs right now, you got Nico Horner at second base, and they traded away Isaac Paredes, but that was to really open up a spot for possibly Matt Shaw. I know people, they're gonna use this as a what's the word I'm looking for? They're gonna say, "Oh, Robbie, you're being inconsistent, right?" Well, Christian Campbell, right? He's been hitting very well in the minor leagues. He could be ready. Well, of course he could, right? But with Matt Shaw and the Chicago Cubs, he has also hit very well in the minor leagues. He just played in the Premier 12 tournament for Team USA. He hit very well there. It's kind of the same situation. What do the Cubs want to do there? Could they, essentially, could you just go with Alex Bregman at third and then let Matt Shaw kind of get into it where when he is ready? He forces his way in, things work themselves out. With the Red Sox, you kind of look at it right now. I think on the depth chart and the way Alex Cora has talked about him, Vaughn Grissom is ahead of Christian Campbell at this point, whatever your opinion may be. Now, with Vaughn Grissom, Alex Cora, he's talked about how he deserves a bit of a mulligan. But, if you're looking for a guy right now that can help you and help you win games, and is going to help you win games, it's Alex Bregman. Grissom, yeah, there's the potential upside. To me, if you bring in Bregman, I think Grissom, he's just at AAA, and, he keeps on just getting his at-bats, and when his time comes, he can try to take advantage of that, right? Or with Christian Campbell. The thing with Campbell is he has a bit more versatility. He can move out to left field or whatever it may be. You hear the same old saying always, right? It always seems to play itself out. Let things work out the way it's supposed to. With Campbell, he has that luxury where he can move around a little bit, right? So that's where I kind of think at the end of the day, with the Red Sox, there seems to just be something in the air that seems to be working in their favor a little bit. Now, Carlos Baerga, say what you will about him. You can have your opinions on him. Yes, he has reported stuff in the past that hasn't come to fruition, but he has also put stuff out there that has come to fruition. When it comes to Baerga, he is saying on his podcast over the last few days that the Red Sox do have an offer on the table for Alex Bregman, according to him. He said he had heard that the Red Sox have a 3-year deal with an option on the table. Could that maybe be more with an opt-out? Who knows? But that is what he said on his podcast. He also said, I don't remember if it was that same episode or if it was a different one, he said the Blue Jays have a big offer for Bregman, but he turned it down. That sounds like he doesn't want to go there. And then who knows what's going on with Detroit. Whatever the Red Sox are doing, it seems like Detroit is doing the same thing. They're trying to just play the waiting game. But if they're both playing the waiting game, and if you're looking at it from a ballpark point of view and, looking at it from a market point of view, the Red Sox, they got the bigger market. No offense to Detroit, right? I think Detroit, they got a lot of young, talented players there. But for right now, if you're looking at it from a situation, the Red Sox seem to be the better situation. And I'm not trying to be biased there, but if you're just looking at it, it's a more favorable ballpark. You got a lot of talent there, right? But sorry, at the end of the day, the Tigers, they don't got a Rafael Devers. They don't got a Jarren Duran over there. They don't, they got Tarek Skubal, right? But the Red Sox, there's a lot of things going for them right now. And to me, I don't know Bregman, obviously, but I would think that there is some preference. At least he is heavily considering it. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But when it comes to the Cubs, other things are going to happen. They're going to have to move Nico Hoerner, in my opinion. I think Matt Shaw is absolutely a dude that is going to play his way onto the opening day roster if that opportunity is there. If they bring in Bregman, then I have a hard time seeing it. I don't see how you beat out Nico Hoerner, for a spot. Yeah, that's the only way I could see it happening with the Cubs. So that's telling me that maybe the Cubs are being brought up here as some leverage. But there's really not a whole lot of leverage. The Astros, at the end of the day, were probably the biggest leverage team that you could try to go use against, right? And the Tigers, of course, because they were hot on his heels at one point. That's what I'm thinking, man. It feels like the Red Sox are playing the JD Martinez game. They're playing the waiting game. We'll see what ends up happening. But that was reported by Carlos Baerga over the past few days that the Red Sox do have an offer on the table. I mean, let's see. Jared Carrabis, he has hinted at the fact that there might not even be an offer on the table. Well, Baerga, now he's saying something different. Maybe it's, recent, of course. Maybe it just happened, right? Maybe it happened after, Jared had said that. So we'll see what happens there. But I don't know. In the end, I feel like Bregman, it just feels like he's going to be a short-term deal kind of a guy with an opt-out. I'm wondering, I don't know, man. I just have a hard time seeing if the Astros offered 6 and he turned it down. I have a hard time seeing the Tigers going past 5 years. Because it's like, why? Like, yeah, you could maybe do that to land your guy, but if you're looking at it from the terms of there's a perceived gap, well, why would they have to go that crazy? Because it's like, what other team is going to offer him 6 years? So I don't know. We'll see. But we have another report out there. Another report. Man, oh man. Well, let's get to the Mets here. All right. The Mets were in the news today with Pete Alonso. Now, as of late, over the last couple of hours, there's something out there that the Mets and Pete Alonso, maybe they're getting close to breaking through on a possible deal. All right. He put down like a 3-year opt-out kind of a deal. The Mets seem to be in that camp as well, according to the reports, but it's really, it looks like it's coming down to the dollar figure. So I think in the end, they're going to meet together on a deal. However, there was something earlier today that the Mets could be planning to pivot, right? Which is kind of funny because we did see this report here from, I believe, Joel Sherman and John Heyman saying that they could be working towards something, which is kind of funny because we got a report earlier in the day that the Mets could be pivoting and looking at other options, right? And one option that came up was Vlad Jr. Man, oh man. Vlad Jr. Well, yeah, I mean, of course, if he is available, then yeah, if you're the Mets and you don't bring Alonso back, then absolutely they should take a look at him. I mean, he would be amazing for them. Could you imagine Juan Soto, Vlad Jr. in the same lineup? I mean, for crying out loud, that'd be ridiculous. But that's not what we're talking. We're not talking the Mets. We're not talking the Mets. We're talking the Sox. And John Heyman went on his Bleacher Report stream today. He said, quote, I do think they're interested in Vlad Guerrero. That one I'll say. I do think that they, as in the Red Sox, love Vlad Guerrero over in Boston. And as a free agent, if he doesn't sign with the Blue Jays, I'm saying Boston might have a good shot there. I mean, we've talked about this, right? We got the report from Bob Nightingale not too long ago that Vlad, according to friends that are close to him, would love to play in Boston. At one point, I think he said that he sees Vlad being in a Red Sox uniform. I think he edited the post, and I think he changed up the wording a little bit, but that was there at one point. And now you got John Heyman saying something here, saying that the feelings could be mutual. Now, if you go back over the years when it comes to the Red Sox, usually the big free agent deals that they prefer are the guys that are under 30 years old, right? John Henry doesn't usually like to go for those 30-plus guys, right? And that's why you're looking for the Red Sox right now. People say, make Bregman an offer. What are you doing? Go 5 years for Bregman. Right now, the Red Sox, I've said this before, I think personally they want to make the postseason first, at least get very close to it, and also have their developmental in check. Well, that's the latter is looking pretty good, right? I think they would also like for Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell to get up to the major league level. I think they're waiting on all of that to kind of form like that perfect storm, and then they go out there and get aggressive. Well, if you really think about it, Vlad checks off the boxes. The Red Sox over the years, they love going for those right-handed hitters in free agency. Take a look at just the past few years, the guys they've been going after. All right, Tyler O'Neill, Adam Duvall, Randall Grichuk popped up this offseason for crying out loud. Hunter Renfroe, all these right-handed hitters, But, again, I think it has more to do with the age and obviously the ballpark. Vlad would just eat at Fenway Park. It's ridiculous. It makes too much sense, right? And obviously, you got the Dominican connection, right? David Ortiz, he's very close to. Pedro Martinez. Who knows how involved Manny is at this point. But there is that. Mainly David Ortiz being that connection. It didn't work with Juan Soto, but in this situation, I think it could because he's not going to be getting Juan Soto money. He's probably going to get, at least as of right now, based off of what we know, I think, depending on how many years, if you do a 10-year deal, I think he ends up getting something in the $400 million range. Who knows? Maybe even, I don't know. I don't think it would be less than that. But if I predicted a little while ago, 12 years, 460-ish million. I can't remember the number I came up with, but that's what I could see for 12 years. But I think if it's a 10-year deal, you probably see something in that, 380 to 420 range. I'll go that range. So that I could see the Red Sox doing. All right, because checks off all the boxes. But hey, kind of, again, when it comes to, a feeling in the air, there feels like there's something there. With the Mets and Juan Soto, it felt like that was in the air for a long time. And now all of a sudden, this one, it feels like it's there. If the Red Sox end up making the postseason as a wild card, or at least get like a game out or whatever, and then Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, they're up at the major league level, maybe even Marcelo Meyer, who knows, then yeah, the Red Sox, that's a great point. I think that's the point where they want to be. We'll see. I will say this. If the Red Sox end up having a great offseason, or finish off this offseason, let's say they finish it off, they bring in Bregman, right, or whatever. However, let's just say they have a good season. Let's say they end up getting a wild card spot. Let's say they get the third wild card spot. Who knows how far they go? I'm just pointing out, let's say they make the postseason. Imagine and Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, maybe Meyer, maybe even some other guys, they're coming up and they're contributing and everything is looking great. Imagine what next offseason will look like. What if we have a situation next year where, what if, for example, like Marcelo Meyer comes up this year? I hope Trevor Story has himself a full year. I am ready for that full season of Trevor Story. I need it. I want it. I really like the guy. But who knows? You never know what could happen. I mean, let's say, you go after Vlad. Maybe they feel like Marcelo Meyer is ready. And what do you do something with Story? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that could, I feel like, end up happening. Go after another pitcher. I don't know, man. I think the Red Sox next offseason, it could end up being pretty juicy. We'll see. But let's move on here. International Signing Day. Now, when it came to the Red Sox class, the biggest acquisition, all right, Dorian Soto. We did get a Soto this offseason, ladies and gentlemen. We did get a Soto. A switch-hitting shortstop from the Dominican Republic, getting a $1.4 million signing bonus. This is on Baseball America, by the way. Baseball America, that's going to be the best stop for anything prospect-wise, in my personal opinion. Looking at the scouting report here, Soto is 6'3", 185 pounds. Might not be done growing. I mean, yeah, that's the one thing with the international prospects, man. They're so young. They're so far away. And this dude is 6'3", and he's a switch-hitting shortstop. Are you kidding me? I mean, for crying out loud. Got the hands, got the footwork to handle the infield. Future could more likely end up at third base than short. Well, when you look at the size, that could make some sense. We are seeing bigger shortstops these days, so who knows what ends up happening there. The offense is the upside for Soto, a switch hitter with explosive bat speed, big power potential. Scouts highest on Soto liked his ability to manipulate the barrel to make contact as well. So as of right now, Dorian Soto is the number 8 international prospect. Hiroki Sasaki being number 1. I'd like to say Dorian Soto is ranked 7. Hiroki Sasaki, in my opinion, it's like it almost he doesn't even count as an international free agent. Or I keep saying free agent prospect. He's just too good, right? But yeah, Dorian Soto does rank very well. Hopefully, doesn't end up being like Rusney Castillo. I hope that doesn't end up happening. But some other guys they ended up getting. Harold Rivas, a more athletic, dynamic talent, should stick at a premium position in center field. 6'2", 170 pounds. Rivas is a tool shed with plus speed, a quick first step, and a plus arm. He moves around with ease in the outfield and projects as a potential plus defender. Rivas continues to get stronger, showing the bat speed and strength projection to project 20-plus homers in his future. Some scouts had concerns about his ability to handle soft stuff, but if he performs well in the Dominican Summer League, he could be a big riser. Got a few other guys here. Hector Ramos, he is considered an up arrow prospect, has hit well in games, good hand-eye coordination, makes a lot of contact, has good defense. There's also Venezuelan shortstop Eliezer Alfonso, 5'11", line drive hitter to all fields, both sides of the plate. He's a switch hitter. Yeah, a switch hitter. With gap power and an instinctive player with actions to handle a middle infield spot. Always love that. I always love the younger guys that have good plate discipline, but also have good instincts, right? Good baseball IQ. I always love that. They also got a picture here. Venezuelan 6'5" right-hander Sadbiel Delzine, probably botching that, I'm sorry, is one of the top pitchers available this year. Dominican right-hander Davison Reyes has been a promising pitcher the Red Sox signed in their 2024 class, but Delzine is even a little bit bigger, has bigger present stuff, works up to 94 miles an hour. Remember, they're young. They say he has a lot of upside. They got Christopher Cordero from the Dominican Republic. Athletic, 6-foot right-hander, a lively fastball with a sharp curveball. Now, we also got this here today from Hector Gomez. I might have to actually dive into this one pretty... I forgot to pull this one up. Let me see. Hector Gomez, man, he was all over the international signings today. I mean, sorry to bring up another team within the division, but a lot of fans of the Rays international class, they landed a ton of top prospects in there. I'm not going to be able to find this. I got to go to Gordo. He put this. He connected it. But he went down here. Christopher Cordero. He was the last person mentioned here. The athletic 6-foot right-hander with a lively fastball. This is a pretty cool story. Pretty cool story here. Where he was washing cars. And he ended up becoming a professional baseball player. Right? In a stunning turn of his life story, a 16-year-old talent has signed a professional contract with the Red Sox. This achievement marks a milestone in the career of Cordero. Says he was raised in an environment where hard work was essential to survive. He was washing cars, delivering merchandise to grocery stores. However, his true passion was always baseball. Always, I always love stories like that, man. It's pretty cool. It's amazing, right? It's gonna be like that's another part of this international signing period too. It's just so great for the families that are involved. It's huge, man. It's always like a pretty fun day of the year, right? Seeing all these guys, getting pictures taken. Mom and dad are there. It always seems pretty cool, man. And seeing a story like this, 12 years old, he's washing cars, delivering stuff. 12 years old, man. And think we're here in the States, we're going to school, we, come home, have a bowl of cereal, you know what I mean? Watch some TV, but, you got guys out there, man, they go through some hardship, and it's really cool to see, stories like this, man. Always love that. Do got one more thing to talk about. Some roster moves. Everyone, we brought back the legendary Robert Stock. Man, oh man, he is back in Boston. Remember, he was with the Red Sox in the COVID season. I saw the name and I'm like, I've seen that name. Where have I seen that? I'm like, oh, it was the COVID season. If you take a look back, not a lot of innings. He was out of the bullpen. 10 games. But he had a 3.34 on the FIP. That was mainly because he got a decent amount of strikeouts, gave up a lot of walks, but he didn't give up any home runs. So, again, it's a very small sample, but a guy that has some pretty decent velocity. He hasn't pitched in a little while now in the pros. And the last time he pitched was back in 2023. But back then, when he was with the Red Sox, he was at 97 miles an hour. So, who knows? Maybe he could be a success story. But minor league contract, invitation to spring training. But we're still waiting on the Bregman news. But everyone, I'm going to wrap it up there. That is all for tonight. Just a quick episode. Wanted to just touch on the latest. Talking Vlad, talking Bregman. And, other than that, we're still waiting over here. Everyone, we have 158 people here in the chat. If you can help us get to 100 on the way out, I will love you forever. But I'm going to wrap it up there, everybody. Thank you for coming out here tonight. And if we have anything tomorrow, you know where to find me. We'll be here live. But everyone, go have yourself a good night, and I'll talk to you next time.